introduce yourself briefly? I mean, Christian already gave a great overview, but maybe
exactly.
you want to add something.
Similar as for you, Digitech and Credit Suisse. I mean, Credit Suisse is not even existing anymore, so it has been quite a while ago. But yeah, you mentioned that correctly. I did the same studies as Luca, even University of Zurich, combination of chemistry and business. And then right after my master's, I was lucky to join Sphere, and from there was in the battery industry for almost 3 years now, and super excited to now share all of the learnings and challenges that we see in the industry today with you guys. And yeah, thanks for everyone to join. And I think Luca will kick us off.
Awesome. So we prepared a little kind of agenda. If you want to maybe take a look at that, Ramon. So as I said, we want to start with the why, right? Why are we doing this? Why are we in the battery space? Why do we believe that it requires new services and products, specifically in Europe and US, to catch up with some of our Asian colleagues and competitions? And then we wanted to deep dive in some of our offerings, right? As we probably all know, we have a heavy focus of our company relies in the hands-on battery validation and battery testing, which we're doing in Augsburg, where I currently sit, which gives us great insight into the technology, where the technology is around the cell today and where it goes maybe in the next year. So this kind of insights allow us to offer some very interesting advisory projects and capabilities to the entire value chain. And then in the end, yeah, obviously we are collecting a lot of data in our tests, terabytes of data every week. And since the beginning, we focus a lot on how we can use some of this data to accelerate the field and create value for, again, the entire value chain. Before we start about briefly our mission, so that everyone knows who we are and where we stand. We are in the iBAT community because we have a company in Switzerland. We have an office in Zurich where we focus on our advisory services, but also on our data and AI team is sitting in Zurich. We have a great collaboration there with University of Zurich, but also ETH, ensuring just an excellent talent pipeline in Zurich. In Augsburg, we have almost 1,000 square meter battery tech center, how we call it, where we really get a lot of cells in every day, from small prototype cells to large truck cells, which we love to validate, to analyze for our customers. And in Paris, we have our engineering hub, because engineering is really important for everything we do. We want to collect the right data points, and for that it's important that we have the right equipment, the right test jigs, how we call them, to analyze the battery in the right way. Now, maybe a bit more interestingly, and also more important in my opinion, is okay, why did we found this company, and why are we doing what we do? We really see that a lot of things are ongoing, and I'm sure you all agree with me, in the battery space in Europe and US. But we also see that battery power products are still too expensive, in our opinion, and it takes way too long to develop them. And in our opinion, to really enable mass adoption of these exciting technologies, we need to accelerate the development and drastically decrease the cost of these products. Because what we see in the market really is that when we develop these battery powered products, we often take a legacy approach. And when I say legacy approach, I mean mainly ICE, so internal combustion engine approach, when we talk about OEMs, in which we just throw a lot of physical tests in our development, a lot of lengthy and expensive physical tests to really validate and qualify the technical specification of the battery technology, which leads to very long development cycles, not just for automotive OEMs, but also for other OEMs, power toolers, and BESS providers and others. And often these long development cycles lead to outdated technology, because the innovation cycle is super fast in the battery space, specifically around the cell, not just on a chemistry perspective, but also on the engineering side. And we need to just decrease those development cycles to be able to ingest those new technologies, those innovations faster. So this is really our mission, right? Our mission is to nail it down, is to accelerate battery development, so cell development, but also the development of battery power products. Now, how are we trying to do that? We, as I said in the beginning, and I think this is also the theme of this presentation and this webinar, is that we are trying to support and accelerate the entire value chain, really from material suppliers over cell manufacturers to then obviously OEMs. And we do that through three verticals, three services. And the foundation of everything we do really is our testing and engineering, right? Because yeah, everyone can talk about battery technology, but I think it makes a huge difference if you actually have these amazing technologies in your hand and really try to understand what they do and really try to get the most out of these cells. And so this is the purple layer, the testing service, the physical validation that we're doing, and Ramon will give you some more insights on what exactly this means. And as I mentioned, technology advisory is an important unit of our business, in which we are trying to advise companies all around the cell technology, right? Because yeah, our standing and the data that we collect through our testing service allows us really to support and advise the entire value chain. And the last topic that we want to share with you is a bit more about, okay, what are we doing with this data that we collect? I think for those who follow us on LinkedIn, we've been heavily investing resources on the data and AI development side of things, mainly in stealth mode at the moment. But yeah, we have a lot of exciting products that we want to share with the market and some sneak previews maybe today if times allow. Just to kind of wrap up the introduction from my part before heading into the more tangible presentation of our services, this is really how we are trying to support the field, right? By combining, and I mentioned this before, by combining our hands-on battery expertise with our data and AI competencies, right? I'm coming from the data and AI field. Lucas, my co-founder, is coming from the software field and the battery field as well. So we believe a lot of these new tools that are now emerging in this field allow us really to accelerate the field, which is, as I mentioned in the beginning, our core mission. Unfortunately, we cannot share any customer logos, but yeah, we are really supporting the entire value chain. Various material producers, so materials that actually develop materials surrounding the cell within a pack. One customer we can mention there is Sika, a Swiss company, yeah, for which we do a lot of advisory work, but also benchmarking work to really inform their R&D roadmap, right? What materials, what technologies they should focus on and why. So from material providers or cell manufacturers, mainly European cell manufacturers and US manufacturers, but then also OEM, automotive OEMs being our biggest customer segment in that field. Over to you, Ramon.
Thanks a lot, Luca. Thanks for setting the stage. I think he already mentioned quite well that we have those three different layers within our company. Nevertheless, we work quite close team by team. And I would like to start giving a bit more information on our backbone. Luca mentioned it. It's really crucial to have hands-on experience on what is ongoing, what those battery cells can really do today, and get our hands on the newest prototypes, but also on the largest of cells. And this is what happens in our battery test center up in Augsburg. We do performance cell tests, so not destructive tests, but really getting the performance data for different battery cells. And we try to do that in an innovative way, which means that we also have our own engineering hub, as mentioned by Luca, in Paris. And we also try to connect it with new approaches. Luca will talk about data and AI approaches here. And we also try to leverage those services within our in-house battery test center to make life easier for us, but also life easier for our clients. How this battery technology center looks like, you can see it on the right hand side. It's as mentioned, close to Augsburg, up in Germany. There we do have state-of-the-art equipment, which includes obviously battery cyclers. We do have a bit more than 800 channels there, with each channel going up to 60 amperes max, which is why we can also test quite large truck cells, but not only focusing on the size of the cells. We do have prototypes of cell manufacturers, so really have a broad spectrum of what is out there, different cell chemistries, different cell format, and really are at the forefront of what's happening. And most tests are being run, I think I can share that, are being run with the automotive OEMs. So really validating what is coming from cell manufacturers, validating the performance, and then choosing the right cell for each and every application. As soon as those battery cells are connected to the channels, we keep them in a temperature chamber. Obviously, there we have also standard temperatures ranging from -40 to well above 100 degrees. So quite flexible in what we can offer there. And then it's really on the client to tell us which kind of protocol we should run on those cells. And obviously, we are more than happy to also support on these questions if the clients are not sure what is best for their application. We mentioned it before shortly, test chicks and equipment. Here we see ourselves as quite innovative and also as a USP to other test centers. We are developing our own equipment here, and we also brought one tangible example with us today. One of those examples of, we call it advanced cell testing, is investigating the swelling of battery cells. So as you might know, battery cell data, voltage, current, and the like are pretty standard, but we try to also add new parameters to better understand the performance and the behavior, and lastly, the aging of those battery cells in detail. And what we do in here is that we have an equipment. You can see it on the top right hand side. It's enormous. It weighs a couple of 100 kilos, but what we can do with that is to stack pouch or prismatic cells into the equipment and then apply a force. And during cycling, we have live insights on how those cells behave, if they expand, if they breathe, if they swell, and for each and every cell on their own. And what is quite unique with that approach is that we can mimic, nevertheless, we don't have a battery pack, but we can mimic kind of a battery pack in our facilities, which then also is quite valuable for our clients, which already have some firsthand input and insights on how cells could behave one on top of the other or beside the other.
Maybe just
another approach. Sure.
Sorry, Ramon. So swelling really is a topic that is really, really important for the whole battery cell development space, not just for the cell manufacturers, but mainly also for the OEMs. This is really something that has been picking up over the last months. And now in almost every cell validation project that we're doing, we include pressure sensors and pressure maps, because this is such an important input parameter, then obviously in the integration to module, into the pack, but also later then in developing and parameterizing a BMS.
Exactly. Once started with the solid state batteries where pressure is key, but it has found its way also into the current lithium-ion batteries. And I think we have shown importance of that parameter in last customer projects already. Speaking about innovative ways of testing and also of having a innovative service for our clients, we want to mention the digital way, as Luca mentioned, that it was key, or it was a key target of ours to have that internally, have everything digitalized as far as possible. And now I think also our clients can really benefit from that approach. And we'll come to the data and AI features that are a bit more interesting and more shiny. But nevertheless, I think those features that we have on that slide really breaks it down to having an easy service and being customer friendly, as we can have, for example, a digital way of providing test specifications. A lot of our clients were used to just sending Excel files and having hours of meetings and emails back and forth until everything was clear on how to run those protocols on the battery cells, which is sped up here, and also it allows us to share data as if you would test all of your battery cells in-house in your own testing facility. I hope everything is clear on that part. If not, feel free to use the chat, and we'll be happy to answer all of your questions. But now I would like to go over to the second layer, technology advisory. And as Luca mentioned it already in the beginning, it's really closely connected to all of the insights that we are able to generate in our facilities in Germany, and also obviously the interactions with the clients and the whole value chain that we have to assess which innovations and which technologies are gonna last, which are to come, and what does that mean for specific applications and specific clients within the industry. So in that area, in that team where I am in as well, we really try to emphasize and guide our clients and the technology innovations, but also help them deal with new regulations and also what it means to, for example, switch from cord to battery for organization, and also strategic implementation of such projects. What we are focusing on the most is really the battery technology itself. So as you know it yourself, each and every day there are dozens of new articles, of new promises, of new roadmaps which are out there of cell manufacturers or soon to be cell manufacturers, and it's really hard to assess what is what one should believe and whether it's going to change drastically, or you should stick with your current technology and your product will still be good enough for the next 2 years. So it's really understanding those battery technologies because to assess, select, validate, and also implement a new cell technology takes a lot of effort and a lot of time, and we try to help there. Obviously, related to batteries, a lot of final products are changing. Most prominent example is the ICE now going to EV, but we also have like the cordless power tools, e-bikes, the stationary storages, systems, you name it. And all of those are requiring for new know-how internally, for new product development, new procurement processes, new end-of-life initiatives, which we can take care of with our knowledge in the battery field. And last but not least, especially in the European Union, we have quite some regulations, which we think is great to have, but it also requires all of the industry players to be aware of them, understand them, and then also anticipate them in the right way, which is another field of ours. Exactly. Based on that, we do have offerings ranging from sustainability up to corporate strategy. And today we selected a few. We will run through them real quick. Maybe you'll have similar challenges, similar projects in your companies, and we'll run you through the challenges of our clients, our process, and also the outcomes. And if you have any question related to your own processes internally or just in general, please feel free to use the chat during that session. Yes, as mentioned, we brought with us 4 different examples, ranging from battery innovation scouting to sustainability assessment, and also help in due diligence processes. I would like to start with one example of innovation scouting. And I think Luca mentioned it already. I can also share a name of one of the clients we have done such a project for, Sika, which is a specialty chemistry manufacturer, obviously also in the automotive field. And the challenge that they have is to really strengthen their portfolio for future developments and anticipate those market developments which are to come. And as their products are really around the cell within the battery pack, they need to know what is going on the battery cell level, the smallest unit of battery technology, so to say. And what we did for them, or what we do in such projects, is to really break it down, obviously, into a short list or a long list that is relevant for our client, but to break down different battery related technologies. So we do an analysis, in detail analysis of what the technology is promising, what is the roadmap, anticipated roadmap of different players as well, and assess the feasibility, the market impact, and the like. And lastly, also the specific impact on the client's business. And what we can deliver with that is then recommendations for new R&D strategies, for new marketing strategies, but maybe also new partners, new collaborations, which was one of the outcomes for one of the specialty chemistry manufacturers last year. So they do have now an ongoing collaboration with one of our suggested startups, and it's really great to see that we can also connect and bring together industry players and make development more quickly eventually. Another example, more from the strategic side, is a go-to-market strategy. It was with one of the largest German automotive suppliers. They were still heavily focused on the ICE business, with 90% of their revenue coming from exhaust systems, which are not really used anymore in an EV. And obviously, they saw their market shrinking, and they came to us, and we together assessed new opportunities within the arising EV market. And what we did here is that we had a short list again of 5 different topics. And we did in detail analysis of the market, of their internal capabilities. So also gap analysis on how much it would take them to enter that new field, and also give our assessment of whether this market segment is attractive in a couple of years' time, or is diminishing probably. And the outcome here was that we really manifested one of those topics, and they are now following our strategy suggestion of implementing the first steps into transforming into an EV-focused automotive supplier. The third one is pretty easy to explain, related to all of the regulations that are upcoming, especially in the EU, with the CO2 footprint mandatory from next year on battery products, but also in general with the battery passport theme. It was quite a busy topic within the last couple of months and years. And we also help to do sustainability assessments, so-called life cycle assessments for battery cells, but also for battery powered products. And here we do not only do life cycle assessments, but for example, in this one example, with a European LFP gigafactory, we were able to, first of all, assess the whole carbon footprint of their production and of their supply chain, and eventually also help develop a mitigation or reduction strategy until 2030. So stepwise reduction of the carbon footprint, obviously with the background of what makes sense from cost perspective, and what is also required from potential clients, but from regulation standpoint as well. And last but not least, we are also engaged in a couple of due diligence processes, projects, sorry. For example, we had one with a German family office, which came to us asking for some advice on technology deep dives, technology assessment. And what we do there is obviously with our knowledge of what is out there, so we know the broad market, and then we can easily say or tell about the market impact, to analysis of market shares, potential market shares of future innovations, also assess the feasibility of claimed roadmaps, and just in general have an assessment on the product performance of the investment target, and then help the client in their final investment decision. Okay, any questions related to that? If not, I would hand over to Luca again with data and AI.
Awesome, thank you, Ramon. All right, so as I mentioned in the very beginning, since we started our journey with Sphere, we understood and we acknowledged that the data we collect here is immensely valuable, and arguably the most valuable data in the whole battery field, right? Which is the deep understanding about the performance and the quality of battery cells. So we set up in the very beginning, before even buying our machines and our equipment, we built up a data model and the data infrastructure to really harmonize, manage, but also analyze the data we collect in a very automated way. And to tie this back to the mission that I introduced in the beginning, we really believe that not only AI, but also how we manage data, new approaches, how we manage data through AI, yes, but also other approaches, offers a great value opportunity for the field in accelerating battery development. And since the very beginning, we are working on AI models, on different AI models to accelerate the field based on the data that we collect internally. Obviously not client data, but data that we collect in our own channels with cells that we acquire commercially, with data that we collect from the net battery news. Maybe you've heard about Betty, which we try to introduce in the end of today's webinar as well, but also other data points. And together with this data point, we try to develop new models, again, to accelerate our workforce and battery development in general. I want to make this a bit more tangible. And I want to do that specifically for the OEM example, so the automotive OEM example. And I'm sure you recognize the next picture that we introduced in the very beginning, when we compared kind of the IC approach to the EV, or the new EV approach of developing batteries. And when we see that in numbers, it's getting clear, right? I mean, when we compare the development time, but also the development cost of ICE cars versus EV cars, it's insane, right? I mean, it's more than exactly four times the budget, and also 2 times the time. And these are here European numbers, right? We all know that the Asian EV developers roughly have around 16 months, at least what they claim, to develop a new EV platform, which is, in my eyes, very, very impressive, and a number that we need to target towards. So we need to aim towards these 16 months, or at least definitely less than 5 years and less than 1 billion to develop a new EV. And this is what we're trying to do with everything, right? With our testing, but also with our consulting, and now with also the data and AI products and services that we introduce now. We focus really on the cell validation. And when we look at the numbers here, and these are really numbers that we know from our projects here in Augsburg, it gets clear why it takes so much time and so much money to develop a new EV platform, right? To validate the cell, we need 1 to 3 years at the cell manufacturer, really to define kind of the technical specification of the data sheet of the cell. And then the automotive OEM obviously needs to test and validate this technology yet again, right? Because they need to eventually ensure a warranty of 8 to 10 years, and no one wants to test a battery cell for 8 years. And they need to validate the performance of the technical data sheet that they receive from the cell manufacturer. So this again leads to 2 to 5 years cell validation, specifically physical testing of the cell at the OEM. And this is really the pain points where we are trying to support the OEM in accelerating these physical testing through more intelligent testing and through new ways of analyzing and simulating your data and your performance. Yes, I just mentioned, right, these 4 years on average where we need to physically validate the technology, we want to bring down to 1 year. And we want to do that by leveraging some of the new AI tools in simulating the performance and the aging of the battery. So this 4x reduction is not just a number that we kind of pulled out of our sleeves. This is really something that we are aiming for on the quantitative level. So we want our models will be able to demonstrate this reduction in development time, specifically in cell validation time. So this is what we're aiming for. Now, obviously, you all know that there has been already a lot of simulation and modeling ongoing in the battery field. And obviously, these models are great. These are very accurate models based on ECM, finite element modeling. So really a physical representation of the cell and the behavior of a cell. Already leveraging machine learning, already leveraging neural nets, but in a way so that you really need to understand the cell and your design parameters in an accurate manner. So the more you know about the cell, the more you understand its manufacturing process, its manufacturing parameters, but also the more you know about the cell itself through physical testing, through tear downs, the battery model. And these models, these current simulation models, they often work quite well for one specific task. For example, the thermal behavior of a cell. And our approach takes a more data-driven approach to modeling, which allows us to build more agnostic models. Agnostic in a sense that the model should be working for different cell designs, so different systems, but also for different tasks. So a multitask cell agnostic model. This is what we've been working for almost 2 years now. And we're getting closer and closer to really showcase the quantitative, as I said, the quantitative accuracy and value of these models in the next months. But our data and AI journey started way before the simulation and our new approaches to modeling. This is what I tried to mention in the beginning. Since day one, we've been implementing tools to automatize the data monitoring, the data harmonization, and data analysis of test data. And for that, we built a battery analytics platform. So a platform through which you can interact in real time with your test data without having any experience in coding and Python coding. Because battery experts are rare and data scientists are also rare. And a combination of data scientists that understand battery data is even rarer. So that's why we wanted to build a platform that's really intuitive for the user and allows the user to get to insights faster based on your test data. And you can imagine when you validate the cell for years, and you obviously validate this cell with different partners and in-house, this leads to an abundance of data about your cell, obviously metadata as well. And oftentimes these OEMs don't even know which data they have, right? So really looking for the right data is already a challenge in itself. And through our battery analytics platform, which we built for ourselves first, then shared with our customers, and now introducing also as a software service product to our customers, really helps in transforming raw test data into insights fast. So that's the first product, right? And the next iteration of our data and AI assets is how we interact with the data. And for that, we've been fine-tuning our own LLM, so an open source LLM fine-tuned for the battery space. And we included this LLM in our platform, so in our battery analytics platform, which allows our test engineers and our customers to interact with battery data through natural language. So we can really not only automatically visualize data by prompting, so please plot me the latest, latest test data in the usual manner, but also allows us basically to then also go a step further and trying to interpret these data points through our LLM. So our LLM has access to a large vector database of roughly 40,000 scientific publications and growing every day. And our test engineers can then interact with this vector database through our platform and the actual test data. And I don't know, Ramon, if you have time to show a quick video of how this looks like.
Of course, I hope the audio works.
Sure. So this is just before we play the video. Maybe this is the battery analytics platform. So our data platform through which we interact with the data. In the second video, we can then show how we then interact or include our LLM in further augmenting the test engineers. So I hope that was visible. Sorry for, in case you haven't seen everything or you have questions, please reach out and we can share the video, of course, as well afterwards. The second feature, which is Ramon now presenting, is now how we incorporate the LLM in further accelerating the way we interact with battery data. So let's go ahead. Sorry, Ramon. So what we could really see in the end, or hopefully you saw it, is how kind of this large vector database and information of more than 40,000 scientific publications, but also publicly available, of course, and battery news, is that you can interact with a plot. You can say, okay, I now see a different behavior than usual on my first cycle step, and what could that be? Do you have any recent papers that talk about this behavior or this phenomena? And then we try to look in our vector database to find answers that would support the test engineering, further understanding what's happening in the data. So those are the first two products. And as I said, simulation is kind of the next product and service that we're working on or have been working on and soon to be launched in the battery field. And obviously, as we try to mention already throughout our presentation, is that what we do here with our hands-on battery expertise and the data we collect is the engine of everything we do in this space. That's why we call it the data engine, our physical testing here. To make this yet again a bit more tangible, right? So what is Sphere now actually doing in this space? Obviously, we are still doing a lot of legacy validation of cell technology, so the cell testing, in which we validate a lot of technologies for mainly OEMs, but also cell manufacturers. For example, really a cell validation project we're doing for a truck manufacturer. And again, this is why we know how long it takes to validate these technologies. We are now implementing our battery analytics platform for another OEM to really automate this whole data processing and data quality checks as well. And we are working with a couple of clients on our AI simulation as co-development projects to really redefine simulation in this space. And again, we're trying to act always at the intersection of hands-on battery expertise and data and AI. And we believe this is kind of our sweet spot as a company. And maybe to kind of finalize our talk, Christian, the last comment from our end is, so one version of our large language model is online accessible through our website. So please go ahead and challenge Betty, ask your most tough questions in the battery space, and leave us feedback. We'd love to kind of get your input and feedback on how Betty performs compared to your own battery experts or ChatGPT and other existing models. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Cool, thank you very much. So I guess that leads to some questions here. I'm checking the audience. I mean, maybe to start with the discussion here, we, without now checking out Patty directly, maybe also with asking you as experts, you told us now how your tools, how you're working, but can you say some trends that you see ongoing at the moment, anode material, cathode material? Yeah, you say you test a lot, of course, you have NDAs, so you cannot give like very specific answers, but maybe still, as you test many cells, you see some industry trends. So what we will see in EVs, European EVs coming up in the next years.
I mean, that's an awesome question. And obviously there is not one answer to this question. And so let me try to get started, then handing over to you, Ramon, maybe. So one question is, what technologies do we see on the rise? And then your second part is, what do we see in EVs? And obviously those are two completely different questions. When I try to answer the first one, obviously what is super relevant at the moment is silicon doped materials for the For the anode, I think that's clear. We already see some commercial cells with single-digit percentage silicones in the anode. This may increase, obviously not without challenges. We all know the challenge of swelling when we introduce this chemistry. But still, right, I think the performance gains are there. They are clear. And I think this is technology that we are seeing a lot, not just in the upcoming space, in the prototyping space, but already commercialized. Then the second part, so the second technology obviously is that super hot is solid-state batteries. I mean, this is a technology that kind of is with Sphere since the beginning. We started with developing tools for R&D on the solid-state battery in the solid-state battery field, focusing mainly on the academic R&D. So we kind of see a second wave now with solid-state battery technology. To link to your second part of the question, where we see in EVs, definitely not in the next 2 years. We, however, believe that is a technology that's complementary. So for high performance applications, maybe high performance EVs, this is definitely a technology that we need to look out for. However, just to wrap off, I mean, solid state technology is a broad field, right? The solid state battery is not a solid state battery, right? There are different definitions, different caveats to this technology. But still, I think in a broad sense, to give you a general answer, I think this is a promising technology that we will see in some high performance applications.
Okay.
Ramon, anything to add without maybe exploding the full
I highly agree. I think I can make it short, but really agree on what Luca mentioned and told us. For the EV part of the question, maybe just to mention that again, that we really see two different areas there, two different segments, with now also a lot of Chinese, let's call it, low price EVs coming to Europe, but also maybe the US. They do have some political weapons against it, but I think in the long term we will have a drop of prices, and that's mainly connected to LFP battery cells. So we definitely see those two segments, whether it's a low price EV or an EV which really wants to take the best battery cell available. And there, as Luca mentioned, it could become reality soon that we see solid state batteries in EVs, maybe a bit earlier, those silicon doped or pure silicon anode battery cells.
Yeah, thanks for that. I think it's still highly appreciated to also have a lower priced EV for the mass adoption of electric car and the fast transition away from combustion engine. I personally hope that we can somehow keep the markets open. I think it would be beneficial for the environmental impact at the end, but that's another discussion. I have a question here in the chat from Shahab. He say, thanks for the interesting and broad talk. You mentioned your models are developed as data-driven, multitask agnostic. Could you please elaborate on the multitask side? What task do you target to gain as output?
Great question. Thank you, Shahab. So yes, for sure. So in a first step, and as I said, maybe to introduce briefly, so we don't have different model for output parameters. So we have one model for multiple output parameters, and this is what Shahab now refers to. And the question is super relevant. And the output parameters that we are focusing in a first step are temperature, C rates, so C rates, capacities, so capacities for different C rates, and then SOH, so aging, state of health development. Those are the three parameters that we're focusing in the beginning. In a second step, we also introduce, and I think that's also your second part of the question, swelling and pressure. So we are currently collecting a lot of pressure data for our tests in-house to be able to fine-tune our model as well for this output parameter.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think you could also answer already the second question from Shahab. If there are no further questions, as it's already almost 5, I would say thank you very much one more to Sphere Energy for the presentation today, and I hope to see you soon at the Swiss Battery Days, or latest also at the next webinar on September 3rd, where we will look into recycling and have a keynote from Patrick from BIMIS. So thank you very much, and see you next time.
Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you, iBAT. See you next time.
Thanks for having us.